II, Detective John McClane is mixed up in another terrorist plot. In one scene, the bad guys are sitting around a table synchronizing their watches. The black guy gets up and says later, and goes down to reach for a present. For some reason, a white guy's hand is seen grabbing the box. Either this guy has a skin condition or the editors got lazy in post. How anyone can miss this glaring mistake is beyond me. Bad Boys. No, not the movie with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. We're talking about the 1983 R-rated crime drama starring Sean Penn. In the final fight between the two main foes, O'Brien and Moreno, they are scratching and clawing for a prison shank that's just out of reach. The crowd is standing around the battle, pumping their fists and cheering. During the fight, a secondary cameraman and crew member are seen amongst the inmates. They are hilariously and completely in frame, apparently trying to get that perfect shot. The original 90s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film is still a fan favorite. While Donnie and Mikey provided the comic relief, the conflicts between Leo and Ralph kept the story interesting. In one scene where the two turtles are arguing about what to do next, you can clearly see a crew member crouching down behind a table. His red cap and white shirt are unmistakable. He's holding completely still as if not to be seen, but unfortunately for him, there's no hiding from the camera. Braveheart is the 1995 historical drama war epic directed by and starring Mel Gibson. He plays a 13th century Scottish warrior that leads a rebellion for independence against England. The film won 5 Academy Awards despite its numerous goofs, including flimsy rubbery weapons and an obvious vehicle in a background shot. But when we see a crew member wearing a jacket and baseball cap in the background of one scene, it totally takes us out of the time period the film was supposed to be set in. The cinematic masterpiece Wizard of Oz has captured the hearts and imaginations of film lovers for generations. The Yellow Brick Road, The Wicked Witch of the West, and The Cowardly Lion are all cultural icons because of this movie. But most iconic of all are Dorothy's ruby red slippers. The shoes were magically transported to her feet after killing one of the witches, and she was supposed to be wearing them throughout the movie. But in one scene, you can clearly see her wearing a pair of black shoes in between takes. We're guessing those ruby slippers aren't as comfortable as a nice worn-in pair of flats. Sylvester Stallone's 1986 film Cobra used the tagline, "Crime is a disease, meet the cure." This movie is as 80s as you can get. Although it was panned by critics, it was a box office success and is now a cult classic. Of all the production screw-ups in this movie, one scene takes the cake. In the scene where he bumps a gangster's car and they begin to argue, Stallone makes an impromptu rip on the man's white undershirt. The improvisation revealed that a taped lapel mic was on the man's chest and was completely visible. The film's director knew about the glaring mistake, but he decided to just leave that scene in the movie. Jurassic Park was one of Steven Spielberg's greatest cinematic achievements. The movie was such a huge success it spawned 3 sequels, with more sequels currently in the works. Audiences adored the mix of CG and practical effects to make the movie look and feel like you're really about to get eaten by a giant T-Rex. Unfortunately, controlling those huge man-made beasts proved to be difficult at times. In the scene where the velociraptors are chasing the children into the kitchen, you can see a puppeteer's hand pushing the dinosaur's butt. The realism of the film takes a turn when you know there's a man gently coaxing the posterior of a supposedly prehistoric predator. Batman Begins was the first installment of Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy. This was the first time we got to see the modernized version of Bruce Wayne's Batmobile. On the rooftop scene, an officer orders Batman to turn off his engine and step away from his car. Obviously, Batman doesn't comply and zooms past him. Not even 1 minute and 27 seconds later in the film, the same cop is seen asking dispatch what Batman's vehicle looks like. Either these two cops are twins, or they just really liked this guy and wanted to see more of him on screen. Tom Cruise's Last Samurai was about an American military advisor who embraces the samurai culture after he is captured in battle. Before the final battle sequence, Cruise rides back into the samurai front lines. When he dismounts his horse, you can see the horse kick back and hit one of the samurai, who then stumbles backward, unsure of what just happened. The extra gets kicked right in the balls, or at least the upper thigh area. Either way, he deserves an Oscar for staying in character and not writhing in pain on the ground. The epic historical drama film Gladiator hit theaters in the year 2000 and was pretty much responsible for catapulting Russell Crowe into stardom. In it, he plays a Roman general who is betrayed by the emperor's corrupt son. He returns to Rome as a gladiator to avenge his family's murder and to also clear his own name. In the Battle of Carthage in the Colosseum, one of the chariots is turned over and begins sliding on its side. Once the dust settles, you can see a gas cylinder in the back of the chariot. I'm no historian, but I'm quite sure ancient Roman chariots didn't have built-in nitrous. The third installment of the Back to the Future franchise follows Marty and Doc all the way back to 1885, during the era of the Wild West. In the final scene, a child standing on the train makes a gesture with his hand, then points toward his crotch. Many have speculated what was going on in this scene. Some say that he was being naughty and trying to get the attention of Maggie McFly. Others say that this was the boy's way of quietly telling the director that he needed to go pee. But many believe that the boy was mimicking the director, who was directing the camera to pan and then zoom. But by the desperate look on the boy's face, it really looks like he has to go tinkle. Johnny Depp hit the jackpot when he began starring in Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean films. The stories follow the exploits of Captain Jack Sparrow through a series of fantasy swashbuckling adventures. In the first film, The Curse of the Black Pearl, Jack is at the helm of the ship. When the pirates are moving about, a guy in a white shirt and cowboy hat is visible in the background. We're not sure if this is a crew member or just a very progressive shipmate with an eclectic sense of style.